In late September of 2024, former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle entered another strata of heroism by taking part in Hurricane Helene relief efforts and took it upon himself to fly his personal helicopter into the region to help those stranded in the area after they received record-breaking rainfall and winds in a short period of time. For the better part of 2 weeks, Greg not only maneuvered his aircraft in and out of dangerous terrain, but also organized goods and supplies to those in need. For his efforts, he is voted this year's NMPA Pocono Spirit Award winner, and we speak to him here about those experiences and what is his involvement right now. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you being on Stock Car Facts. My first thought when I heard you were in a helicopter, and I hate to go way back there, is I started thinking of Davey Allison and what happened to him, and I started thinking, this is your second helicopter or third?
Yes, third.
Was there anything in contract with you when I believe you got your first when you were Jack? Was there anything in the contract saying no helicopters?
No, not really. Jack was a huge aviation guy, so he loved airplanes. He probably didn't like helicopters as well as airplanes, right. But not in my contract. I didn't have anything.
Well, he had a few issues too.
He did have a few airplane issues.
So, because my thought was, well, spend a lot of money on these guys. I mean, now we're talking about, Chase Elliott got hurt doing other things, and then Alex Bowman got hurt. So that's why I was thinking, boy, Greg got the helicopter, and now he's still got it. Which leads to my second question. You had less than 100 hours in that thing when you started doing this?
Well, so I had my first helicopter, sold it. Had my second helicopter, sold it in 2013 or 15 maybe. Around 2014, I think I sold it. So I just bought this helicopter in February last year, coming up on a year. I haven't even had it a year. So I had just bought this, and it's a different brand. It's a Robinson R44, which requires 10 hours of training, and I need to do what's called recurrent training. So I just finished, my recurrent training and had about 3 or 4 flights in it, and I felt comfortable in it, but being, go up in the mountains and flying that rugged terrain, and I just wasn't, something that needed to be done, but wasn't my first choice, right? To
sure.
Get thrown into the wolves. But look, I've been flying a helicopter for 10, 15 years. I'm a safe pilot, and follow the rules and regulations. So
sure. You're from Washington State originally. Had you ever experienced anything like that before in your home state? That's pretty rugged terrain there too. It is rugged
terrain. Now, we had some flooding and some other things, but nothing to this magnitude. I mean, this was an event, this was a 1,000-year flood. So to see something like this in our country is like amazing to me. I saw
also like a third world country.
Yes, I saw stuff from the air that was just, it still is mind-boggling to think about the power of Mother Nature and what it can do. And just goes to show you there's nothing you can do about it. Doesn't matter what you build, what you put where. When you see, trees and rocks the size of, 10, 15 feet around look like marbles being rolled down a hill or through a canyon, it's just incredible to see.
Perspective moment.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
Being from Detroit, we don't have mountains there.
Yeah.
You lived in Belleville. I lived Jack's shops in Northville. I lived a little bit down the street off Plymouth and Telegraph.
Yeah.
So pretty close. How those roads are straight.
Right.
And straight.
Straight. And the thing is when we have flooding or we have a hurricane, and unfortunately we see that in Florida and other places, Louisiana. You see water events, maybe there's 3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet of water, but it's not the forcefulness of the water. Usually it's the wind combined with the water. Well, this was the forcefulness of the water. because they got 30 inches of rain in those rugged mountains, and it all went to the bottom of the beat. So the water was 60, 70 feet deep over the road. So think about that
Fathom
for a
that.
second.
Try to even.
Wow. Substations are gone. Bridges are gone. Power poles
Towns are gone.
Towns are gone. Trees are gone. Earth is gone. Right? What used to be 60 feet wide is 300 or 400 feet wide. It's hard to even think about
or explain.
Explain, right? They think, oh, it's a hurricane. We see that in Florida all the time. Water recedes. We cut the drywall out. They replace insulation and drywall, and they're back up and running.
But where's the water go up there?
Yeah, up there it goes down and wipes everything in its path out. So that is really the difference in the two, that it's still hard to explain.
Yeah. Not to get all Florida on you, but has it affected you to the point where, okay, I've got some bad experience, bad memories. I've had to talk to professionals about it, because I'm sure you've seen some stuff, and I'm not going to ask you got details. I'm sure you've seen some stuff that you would probably like a war zone.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was.
Or had professionals reach out to you?
Yeah, I haven't had that, but I'll tell you what. The fact of going home at night, and I had a hard time sleeping for those 11 days.
Yeah.
A really hard time, and then immediately after it, because you felt like you quit, right? Like when I could have done more. There's no more flying to be done, right? But one thing that got me was about the 8th day. The 7th day, I landed and gave a Starlink to some search and rescue people, and I knew one of my team guys was there from the 16 team, and the amount of brush and the trees and what the creek side looked like. I landed on this little strip of grass. It was about 15 feet wide. It was all that was left between the roadway and what was now this canyon.
Oh boy.
And this pile of brush that's half the size of this building, seemed like, was right there. They actually found someone alive.
Oh my gosh.
In that pile of brush the next day, on day 8. He'd been in that brush for eight days. And, what I remember about that, or my thought is how many other people are there that, 8 days is hard to survive.
Sure.
It's after that. It's it's a recovery mission.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I was there. It's just mentally. The guy was right there. I blew air on him. When I came in and landed in that pile of brush.
Right.
But they actually found him alive, and it was something to think about, that how many others are didn't perish, but have now because we
didn't make it. Yeah.
And then the rescuers couldn't. There's no road.
Right.
There's no way to get to them.
Right.
To search and try and find people. So it was a lot to take in.
There's been some reports of a little bit of pushback. Now, I'm not going to get asked to get into that. What your opinion is on it, but did you see any of that?
I never ran into any of the things that we heard of. I know of one incident that a guy didn't follow a procedure coming in a helicopter, coming into an area or landing zone, an LZ or whatever, and he got in a pissing match with the guy on the ground.
Oh.
And I know that they had some, if you come back, I'm going to arrest you type of, thing. And I think that got mistaken for, people are trying to provide aid. But we never, honestly, the 11 days I was there, I never did see FEMA or anyone else. And we really didn't come across any of them. I did see them setting up about day 7 or 8, and then we saw some Blackhawks and Chinooks come in, maybe day 4 or 5, and they started flying with us. And the thing about it is they were, big Chinooks are going into large areas.
Yeah.
We went into all these small areas.
Yeah.
So they were only able to get into some bigger areas, but we never they put up no-fly zones for looky-loos, right? If somebody were to go survey the area. So you could go take a fixed-wing airplane and go fly around and see it all, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So there were no-fly zones for that, but because we were flying aid, and it was a little bit of, we didn't know when they first put the no-fly zone up. We all decided collectively that we were still going to fly aid and supplies in. Mm-hmm. And then the next day we found out, okay, it's we used airdrop in our tail number for a SWAT code in those no-fly areas. So we were worried about it in the beginning, but turned out that we all continued. We knew we were going to fly the supplies into the people that needed it, mm-hmm. whatever at all costs. We were just going to continue to operate.
So, are your efforts over, or are they still getting messages? Can you help us? Can you fly again?
Yeah. So really, it's a ground operation now, and Penske's provided us a box truck.
Okay.
Mr. Penske has, and we basically once a week we're taking supplies. Once every other week, we're taking supplies to the areas, and we're planning for a little bit larger scale, cleanup operation with some of my equipment and whatnot after the 500. There's some folks organizing about a week-long, road building and some other things. I've got equipment that I can help with, so we're planning on doing that. We got tractor trailer load of mattresses 3 or 4 days ago. We have a 40,000 square foot warehouse in Statesville.
Oh my!
That's about 2/3 full of supplies, and we're taking those supplies. Now it's a more focused effort on what exactly is needed, mm-hmm. versus before it was anything.
More like a fine tuning.
Now it's fine tuning. Now we need, whether it's bedding and mattresses.
They need 6, they need 3, they need 8, or whatever.
So we've been able to, dial that back and dial it down into getting exactly what people need, or at least trying to. And so we'll keep the effort up. We knew that end rush was going to taper off, and then
sure.
people would sort of forget about it. So that's why I committed to this warehouse, and met a gentleman that provided the warehouse for us. So we'll continue to try and help till middle of summer, late spring here, until we think that we've done everything we can. So,
for those watching, we are at the NMPA convention here in the month of February 2025, and they just awarded Greg for his efforts in helping those folks in that region. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, you don't get up one day and you get 1,000 messages saying we need your helicopter, and I'm going to do this an award. But what are your thoughts on being recognized?
Yeah, I'm so blessed to be recognized for this. I had no idea.
We thought it was a no-brainer. But
yeah, in the beginning that what this was going to turn into, and obviously to do it over again, I would have done the same thing, and I learned a little bit about it. So hopefully there's not a next time.
Right.
But I'm better prepared for if there is another event, I'm better prepared, I think.
Do you think you'd be also as willing to volunteer in other areas now that you've got some
I talked to my wife about that. It's like it was so satisfying, to be able to help where I could. I enjoyed helping. At the beginning, it was very stressful.
Sure.
After 6 or 7 days, when the immediate, 911 critical was taken care of, then it became the last 3 days I did were a little more enjoyable, because we knew that,
see the fruits of your labor,
right,
a little bit.
We're seeing the fruits of our labor, exactly, and what can we do in other areas. And I felt so helpless during all those California wildfires. But the thing is if I was there, there wasn't anything I could do. 90
right.
mile an hour winds.
Right. Yeah, you're not flying into that.
I can't fly my helicopter.
Can't drive into that.
Winds. So, it was. You felt helpless, and I still, I feel for those people. But I would do it again, and I would help wherever I can.
Final question, and I appreciate you being on the show here. Did you get to take your trip?
to the Bahamas.
I did.
How long did you have to wait?
I had to wait about 2 months.
Oh my!
Yeah, so it was.
Hopefully they worked with you.
Yeah. I had to wait a few months before I got done. I ended up buying a house down there about a year and a half ago. I love fishing and going down there. So I have a place there. I was able to delay my trip, but it was just a perfect weather window because we were making the crossing from the U.S.
Yeah.
So I had to wait till I got the next weather window to be able to make the trip.
Talk about unwinding, right?
It worked out.
Yeah. Well, sir, again, thanks for being on the show and what yeoman's work you've done for folks, and we really appreciate it. And I was going to say see you on the next one, but let's hope there's not a next one.
Yeah, let's hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks, for watching this special episode of Stock Car Facts with our guest, Greg Biffle, a worthy recipient of the National Motorsports Press Association Pocono Spirit Award. We would also like to thank others that were involved in helping the victims of Hurricane Helene. And please don't forget that there's still a great need up in those mountains. We'll see you next week with a new and special guest that we've been working on for quite some time.